So welcome to our vision call tonight. Thank you guys all for joining. And the past few weeks, we have formatted the call sort of a little differently, which I've really enjoyed. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Sort of having a focus for the night and then having somebody share their testimonial and then having sort of a training. But tonight I wanted to just mix things up a little bit. And I had this idea yesterday, and at first I was like, I don't know if it is, makes sense to do or not on a call. But then I got thinking about it more, and I really just think it does. And I know for myself, I want to do this, but I really want to do this all together as a team. And I really think there's power in doing something like this together because it just gives you that accountability. There's some vulnerability that goes along with it. And so, yeah, it's not scary, don't worry. But it's a little activity that we're all going to do together. And some of you may have already done this. So if you've already done this, it will be easy, but doing it repetitively is helpful as well. And it can just help you to like go back if you've already done it and be like, do I want to change this a little bit? Do I want to add to it? Just revisiting it. So what I'm going to talk about tonight is goal setting. It's boring, but it's so important. And it doesn't matter where you are in your journey, and Carrie touched on this last week about setting goals for you for the beginning of the month. I want you guys to be honest. Who has set specific goals for themselves for the month of February? If you have, raise your hand. And if you haven't, it's okay. Do not feel bad. If you have you written them down? Okay, good. And if you haven't, it's okay. I am going to admit that I have not written my February goals down for myself until today. So I'm preaching to the choir here. And yesterday I shared in our group the video that Carissa Casey made about making excuses. And I listened to that and cried because I still let excuses hold me back. Even when it comes to goal setting, even after Carrie's amazing training last week. But we have to recognize that and then just figure out what is holding us back and then move through it. So this goal, I think sometimes setting goals is scary for people because if we don't meet them, then we feel like we've let ourselves down. Or if we set a goal that is too big and we seem it's like so far off, you're like, I don't know if I can do that. And then you get in your head about all the reasons why you can't do it. Or if you set a goal that's too small, you think to yourself, oh, I'm, an underachiever. Everybody else has these big goals and my goal is insignificant. So I just want to tell you that it doesn't matter what your goal is, okay? But you have to have something to work towards. If you have a reason that you're doing this business, and clearly you do because you're on the call tonight, there needs to be intention behind it. And maybe your goal is just to be here for the community and to just bring a sense of support into your life, and that's fine. But if you have goals for, the business and for impacting other lives and monetary goals, then we need to include that in, what we're thinking about. So I'm going to share this graphic in the group. I just found this when I was kind of preparing for the call a little bit, but I really loved it. It's a graphic that talks about how to help your children goal set. So it is so simplified, and I'm going to use this with my kids. Well, at least Gianna, who's 8 and kind of can understand. Ari could probably get it too, but as a kindergartner. But I think this applies. It's just like goal setting simplified. So it makes it easy for us. So I'm going to talk about it real quick, and then we're going to do a little goal activity. So the first one is to let them choose their big goal. So clearly, ask questions like, what is something you wish you could achieve? What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Like if there was no chance of failure, what would you do? Like just let that thought be freeing to you. Like that gives me goosebumps right now. If I could think about reaching my goal with no chance of failure, So when you think about setting a goal for yourself, just let yourself go there. Don't be afraid to let yourself go to that place of, if I could do this without failure. And we should let our kids think about that too. Like, let them dream about, Gianna, you're 8 and you don't know how to ride your bike, but what if you could just hop on your bike and ride it and you had no risk of failing and falling over? Because she wants to ride her bike, but she's afraid. Okay, so number 2, discuss the purpose of their goal. Ask questions like, what do you think is the greatest benefit to you doing well at your goal? How can that help others? So when we have a goal, even for our children, when they have a goal that is others focused and it's not just about them, it's about something that can impact others, and that is going to have benefit and impact, then we're much more likely to achieve that goal. Maybe it's just to inspire somebody else, but okay, number 3, break the big goal down into smaller steps. So that's really the purpose behind making a plan for your goal, so that it doesn't seem so overwhelming and huge and daunting. So you can use a goal ladder to break down their big goal. At the top of the ladder, write down the big goal, then work your way down through the steps it would take to achieve it. Number 4 is to brainstorm potential obstacles. So this, I love this part, because we all know that things can hold us back from reaching our goals. And a lot of that has to do with mindset. But it's important to recognize that. And it says, encourage them to plan for potential obstacles. Talk about bad habits or negative thoughts, including a desire to give up. Ask, if you feel like giving up, what will you do instead? And I love just saying to them, you have a choice. You know, when you start to feel negative feelings or you feel like you want to give up, you have a choice, and you set this goal. You don't want to give up on yourself, and it's okay to experience setbacks, fears, things that, you know, might want to hold you back. Experience them and feel them, but then know that you're not going to give up on yourself and you're not going to give up on your goal. Okay, so bonus tip, write it all down. By writing down goals, this is scientific, statistically, whatever, people are 42% more likely to achieve them when their goals are written down. Last couple things, if they want to give up on their goal, and I love thinking about this as like if we're teaching a child, because when you think about teaching a child, it just seems simple. So if we can teach children to do this, we can do this ourselves. If they want to give up on their goal, remind them of the purpose behind their goal. Remind how they decided to deal with the obstacle, because you reviewed how are you going to deal with your obstacles. Recognize as they climb the steps on their goal ladder. Give examples of your own struggles. Focus on how they can continue improving. This is my favorite. Celebrate their effort, determination, and persistence. So it's not about achieving the goal on a timeline. It's about the effort that they're putting in, their determination, their persistence. Teach them positive self-talk. So by setting a goal and working towards it, you really have to practice that positive self-talk. And I think, like, do all of us have kids, or somebody in our life that maybe we could help have like set a goal? We could show them that we're doing this too, and that sort of modeling piece I think is great. The other thing I would say in regard to our businesses, and we've talked about this before, is just sharing your goals with somebody that is a supporter. So somebody that just encourages you and believes in you. Find that person, whoever it is, if it's your sponsor, if it's your spouse, if it's your mom or dad. For me, it was my dad when I first started. Whoever that person is, share with them what your goals are. I told my dad when I first started I was going to be Emerald. And he just said, I know you are. Whatever you do, whatever you put your mind to, you always do. So I have full belief that you will. Or when I first decided I wanted to run a marathon, I was really scared. And I was like, I'm kind of thinking about running a marathon, but I don't know. And he's like, you're going to run a marathon because you just said you were thinking about it. So just put it out there to somebody that has that belief in you. Okay. So now what I want to do, Jamie today, or was it today or yesterday? She had written in the thread 4 areas to write goals for yourself for. So I want you guys to write down these 4 areas. I'll say them out loud and give yourself a little space in each of them. So the first one is to write out weekly goals. Today's Monday. It's not too late to write out a weekly goal or several goals for yourself this week. The second one is for the month. So goals for yourself for February. The third one is the 3-month goal or goals. So in 3 months, you know, in terms of business, it's nice to kind of break it down quarterly. So just thinking about in three months, a lot can happen. So 3-month goals and then 1-year goals. And when you are thinking about goals, I'm not, I think what I love about Plexus and, you know, network marketing in general is that it is all encompassing. It's about personal growth and business. So these goals can be related to your personal growth, your health, your relationships, anything. Like, they don't just have to be centered around your business. I think it's important to include those, but I think we can also include other things, because I know for me personally, if I'm struggling in an area in my life, like at times maybe my relationship with my husband or my kids, or feeling out of balance because I've committed to too many things, I've had to make goals for myself in those areas to work on. And by making forward progress, it doesn't mean that those things have to be perfect before I can achieve my goals in my business. It just means that I need to put attention on them. And that if I'm making forward progress in them and not ignoring them, then it helps me make forward progress in my business too. Does that make sense? So don't use the excuse that, oh, you know, this is not going well right now, so there's no way I can handle this business and be successful and make forward progress. We have to just recognize the areas of our life that we want to have growth in, because nothing is ever going to be all smooth sailing and perfect. So it's just important to include those goals. All right, so we're going to take 5 minutes now. And if you haven't done any of these things, I would suggest to start with the weekly and then write down goals moving forward. If you've done all of them, then just revisit and maybe kind of jot down a few notes. Or if you've done one, just skip over that. But we're going to take 5 minutes, start with weekly, and then work your way up through to write down a few goals for yourself. Okay? All right, that was 5 minutes. Does anybody else use timers a lot during the day? Megan does, some people. I use my timer all day long. I have to time myself or I get like totally off track. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take 10 minutes and do this. Or I use it for my kids a lot. I'm like, okay, you guys have 10 minutes to clean up all the toys off the floor or they're going in this trash bag. I really do say that sometimes and they pick it up fast. Okay, so I use approximate timers, Carrie. I use my phone timer and I use Alexa a lot. I'll be like, Alexa, set the timer for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Okay, so does anybody want to be brave and share one of their goals?
Well,
Okay.
oh, sorry, Kayla, go.
No, Nicole, go, you go. You raised your hand.
Oh, where's the habit? Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to share a weekly goal, one of my weekly goals. Okay, that would be, choosing which one I should share. How about 30 minutes of exercise each day, because I have not been doing that.
Awesome, thank you. That was one of my goals. Literally, Monday through Friday, I cut myself some slack. 30 minutes exercise in the morning. Yep. Awesome. Kayla?
All right. Goodness. When we're in a line or at a line, I wrote down it was January, so my 3-month goal at that point was to be senior gold by April 25th.
Awesome. It's happening. So I have written down my 3-month goals. And one of those goals is to be a solid emerald. So what I encourage you guys to do is when you're writing a business goal, maybe it's rank specific, try to break it down. Even at senior gold, you know how many points you need for senior gold. So you want to try to break it down because you can't do this business alone. You know, you're going to need people under you. I mean, some people get to gold by themselves, just recruiting level 1s. But at some point, you have a team that starts sharing underneath you. And so our job as we grow is to help them meet their goals. So I'm not going to go anywhere unless I help Kayla meet her goal. And so I have written down here 3-month goals. I know that Kayla has a goal to get to senior gold by April, and I have that written down on my goals. And at that point, she'll be at 250 points. So I broke my goal down based on, you know, what Carrie's goal is and Ashley's goal is and Kayla's. And my goal is to help them meet theirs. And so this business is so wonderful because you don't have to be so focused on yourself and like, oh, I'm so anxious because I can't meet my goal. Like our job is to help the people that we bring into this. You know, our job is to kind of show them the vision, show them the opportunity. If they're not interested, that's okay. But I think you know, the more we do it, people's eyes are opened. And then when you are able to encourage somebody and help them meet their goal, it's just so rewarding. And it's taking the focus off of you. And that's why even in that little goal setting thing for the children, that number 2 thing, how can you help others? Like that is so impactful when you're working towards something with other people. And it's more than just you at that point. Okay, sorry, anybody else want to share?
I will.
Okay.
Hi. For the month of February, I'm really trying to, I talked with Kayla about this, to figure out a plan, what days that I don't work, that I can actually have an exact set schedule as to when I'm going to work my Plexus, because Tuesdays I tend to do that, I'm off. and I spend a lot of time working on that, and then I kind of get distracted, or I just want to have a plan, because if I don't have it written down as a time frame, what days I'm going to do this and how long, for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever, I tend to get kind of lost in it. And I feel if I have that plan in place, I'll be focused and I'm saying, okay, this is my time frame and I have to do this.
Yep.
You know, to reconnect with people and, you know, just all of the things that need to be done to stay
Right.
focused. And my biggest thing is getting the focus is getting to the point of, okay, where do I set this up? You know, what time frame should I be using? You know, I think last Tuesday I talked with Kayla for, I don't know, maybe about an hour. And then I think I did paperwork and reach outs and stuff like that for probably 2 more hours. And, you know, later in the afternoon I had to run errands and stuff, but I did that. But then, you know, then I go back to work and then that kind of gets put to one side. But I do talk to people at the salon when I'm there. I really reach a lot of people there. But my thing is just, I've said that to Kayla, just help me, somebody figure out how do I set that goal to have a focus for when I am going to work my Plexus business.
So yeah, so your goal is by the end of this week is to make a plan for yourself, a
Yes.
plan of action. That is your goal, is to complete writing out your plan of action and just try it out and see how it goes. And then you can adjust as needed. And that's why, you know, goals can always be adjusted, but give yourself a deadline, say make it specific, a SMART goal. You know, give yourself a deadline by tomorrow. Make yourself a plan.
There we go, Kayla.
And honestly, guys, we spent 5 minutes doing that. Like, that seems like it was a long time, right? I mean, I felt like you can get a lot done. You can get a lot written down in 10 minutes when it comes to goal setting, if you're intentional, and just put aside everything else and just be like, I'm setting my timer for 10 minutes. I'm going to sit down and write my goals out.
I guess I'll have to set a timer.
It works. Anybody else want to share?
I will. Can you guys hear me, or am I muted? You can hear me? Okay. Andrea, is it me? Okay, I am on. My goal is, I'm actually borrowing Carrie's goal for me, which is to go gold by the end of this month. Because I've been hanging out at silver for a really, really, really long time. And so I feel like it's time to like be a little bit more daring, put myself out there and just see if I can do this. And I think I can.
Yay. That's exciting, Megan. And I'm telling you, putting it out there into the universe, it's a little scary, but it works.
I know, I'm sweating.
You'll get there. You are so close. So you will.
When something makes you sweaty and gives you butterflies, it's good. It's actually good. You know, the feelings of fear and excitement are kind of the same physiologically.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Anybody else?
I'll go.
Okay.
So just to sort of flip what Nicole and you, Andrea, had said about exercising, I have been exercising and I have some sort of issue going on with my foot. And so I haven't been able to do what I had been doing. And so my goal is to modify my exercise routine so I can continue the consistent activity, because I am a person who's developing consistency and balance in my life. And so I don't want to allow excuses to stop me from moving forward. And I feel like it's important to share that, because I think for a lot of us, we either take the clear path forward or we sort of just fall off track. And so we all will have to modify or pivot. That's what Jessica Heffley likes to say, is if you come across an obstacle, you have to pivot. And so right now, like, I'm being challenged to pivot in so many different ways, but I think that there's always a way to keep going.
Love it. Love it. If you had a pool in your backyard, you could do aqua size, but you don't.
There's no pool in my backyard.
And it's also cold.
And it's cold.
Yeah, that's right. You
And I
can't-
don't like water. Actually, like I'm really controlling and I like to have my feet on the ground, which is probably why there's something wrong with my foot.
Maybe there's a lesson there.
Yeah.
There is definitely a lesson of control issues there. Working through it, Shayna.
We'll figure that out. We'll talk more about it. All right, awesome. Anybody else? I know there's another training that started at 9, so we'll wrap things up. But if anybody else has something to share, I want to make sure you're able to.
I have one more for a monthly goal,
Yes, let's hear it.
and that is meditate every morning for at least 10 minutes.
Love it. I have that for my monthly goal. I'll share it in the group. I listened to it this morning, and it was actually one that I really liked. It was a positive affirmation thing that you say out loud, like they say it and then you say it. And it was 5 minutes. And I said it out loud as I was putting on some makeup and looking in the mirror. And it was very awkward, but I felt great afterwards. And I was like, I'm making a commitment to myself. I wrote it down 21 days because that's how many days it takes to make a habit or whatever. 21 days of repeating the positive affirmation out loud to myself when I get ready. Or at some point I look in the mirror when I brush my teeth. I mean, I guess I'll have to say it in my head if I'm brushing my teeth. So spit. But regardless, it's 5 minutes. And so I love that one, Shayna. That's really good. All right, guys. Hi, Guy.
Can I just say mine real quick? Mine
Yeah.
is more, I'm just gonna say a weekly goal because I have to say it. So it's not Plexus related. It's to have a calmer, more enjoyable dinner time with my children.
Love it. Yep.
So, yeah, because I laid down the law tonight, and so I have to be consistent about following through with that in a kind and loving way.
Yep.
So,
And so with that being a goal, then just kind of maybe break it down into a plan. Like think about maybe a couple strategies or action steps to make sure that happens. Or not to make sure. If it doesn't, it's okay. But to help foster it.
okay, you can help me with that if you'd like.
All right, we'll talk more because it depends on what you lay down the law about. We did this recently, so yeah, I'll share.
Yeah.
I'll share. They have to ask to be excused. I really am. We're talking about table manners because it's getting out of control.
Yeah.
They have to ask to be excused, and then they have to put their plate away in the sink when they get up and they get done. And there's no potty talk at the table. So anyway, we'll talk more, but
Yeah.
I love that. It's good.
Like attitudes, like it. So yeah, but I think it's related to technology use before. So we're going to get rid of the technology if they can't get through. So that's kind of what I said tonight, but we'll talk.
We'll talk more. Have them read a book before. Okay. Thank you all for joining, and you are all going to achieve your goals. I know it. I believe it. Write them down, say them out loud, say your affirmations. It's so important and helpful. And thank you for taking the time. Danielle, I think you need to go to bed.
Oh, I'm coughing so hard. My husband's like, drink water. I think I'm annoying him.
No, go rest.
I have a cough.
Yeah.
How does this next video start? Instagram? What is this? It's not a Zoom call?
No, I'll put the link on there. There's a link for it. You just click. You should be able to.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies.